Let us pray before we get into the word for a few minutes. Most High Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, our righteousness and Messiah, we call on your name, asking once again that you would please guide us in the truth. Word, cause your name and glorified as we study your word. Guide and direct us in truth for your name's sake, for your righteousness' sake. Cause this word to go forth and encourage, bless, and strengthen all of your chosen. In the name of Yahweh Shai, we pray. Amen. Okay. We had talked about last night at our Bible study. There are all kinds of winds of doctrine that are being let loose on the earth, and that the word of the Most High, we established that the word of the Most High, the Bible, is under severe. It didn't just start. The attack has been going on a long time. It's in many forms. The attacks on his character come from every place, from people to Christianity, and that's a very strange thing to say, I guess, to many people, is to say Christianity is attacking the character of the Most High, but that is in fact the truth. And why do I say that? Because any persons or institution that misrepresent the character of the Most High are in fact attacking Most High. It's as if you think of yourself, and anytime in your life somebody has misrepresented what you have said, or misrepresented something you said, or misrepresented your character to a third party behind your back, or misrepresented you in who you are as a person, it's not very nice, right? It's not very nice. And they attack you. You consider it an attack on you personally, an affront to you. Isn't that right? So somebody misrepresented your character and portrayed you as some sort of thief or robber or rapist or murderer, something you have never been, and they misrepresented your character. You would consider that an attack on you personally. Well, when you have religions that claim to be followers of God, let's say, someone they're calling God, and they're claiming to use this King James Bible as their book, and they are misrepresenting the character of the God of the book, it's an attack on that God. Okay? So when some persons say the law is done away with, and we are New Testament Christian, they are attacking the covenant of the Most High. They're attacking his character. They're not even serving him. They're serving another God and attacking him. Some group forms an organization, a 501c3 corporation, that is a religious organization, takes money from people and convinces people to stay in this organization by trying to say that the Most High is only with this particular religion or organization and not with any other. And they are incorrect in that, defending his character. Or when they tell you that certain things that the Most High never wrote in the scriptures are things you must abide by. In other words, the doctrines and commandments of men. You must abide by them. And the Most High himself has said in his word that we should abide by his commandments and statutes and judgments, and only obey those things that don't go against his commandments, statutes, and judgments. In terms of earthly governments, we should obey our earthly governments, but don't obey the commandments and statutes of men along religious lines. You're misrepresenting his character. And these misrepresentations and attacks are fast and furious on the earth today. They're multitude many. But with all that being said, that is not going to stop the truth from coming forth, to stop the prophecies from being fulfilled. As a matter of fact, the attacks on the character of the Most High are in direct fulfillment to prophecy. And also attacks on his people. Remember when the Most High called Abraham, well, at that time he was Abram. When he called Abram from Ur of the Chaldees, I believe it was Genesis chapter 13. I believe it was chapter 13 of Genesis. Let's look at that. Genesis chapter 13. When he called Abram from Ur of the Chaldees, actually it was chapter 12. And let's see what he promised him. In Genesis chapter 12, from verse 1 down to verse 3. Genesis chapter 12, from verse 1 down to verse 3. Now, Yahweh had said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth. He took Abram and he said, I'm going to bless you into a land you don't know, to a place you've never been. Trust me, I'm going to make you a great nation there. And anybody that curses you is going to get cursed. And anybody that blesses you is going to be blessed. And in you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. That's a great promise, isn't it? That's a tremendous promise. That to Abraham, but we know he promised it, as we're going to see, he promised it to his children as well, Abraham's children as well. So that the world blesses or embraces the people that are Abraham's children, they will receive a blessing. Now, for sure, most of the world will not embrace Abraham's children and have not. And the reason is, as we said before, as the scriptures have said, is because we know that only a remnant is going to be saved. The majority of the people of planet Earth, unfortunately, are going to be destroyed. And only a remnant is going to be delivered, in which we live. And of all the billions of people that have lived on the face of planet Earth, only a remnant of them will enter the kingdom of heaven. Okay? And in these last days, those that embrace the children of Abraham will be blessed. Now, we know that Abraham's children rejected Messiah. They rejected Messiah, right? We know they rejected the Messiah, and as a result of their rejection of the Messiah, the truth of Messiah went to people that previously were not his people. Previously, they were Gentiles, and they embraced the truth. Those of the Gentiles, not all the Gentiles, but those of the Gentiles that embraced the truth became part of the people of the Most High. They became, as the Bible says, they became grafted in to the olive tree of the nation of Israel, the olive tree of the Most High. They became grafted in by faith as a result of the children of Abraham's rejection of the truth. But as the scripture pointed out to us, and let's look at it in Romans chapter 11. Romans chapter 11. Romans 11. I'm going to read from verse 1, from Romans 11, from verse 1. And I'm going to read for a little while, but let's start from verse 1 down to verse 5. This is 7, 1 to 7. I say then, hath Yahweh cast away his people? Yahweh forbid. For I also, says the apostle, am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Wot ye not what the scripture saith in Isaiah, of Elijah, how he maketh intercession to Yahweh against Yasha'al, Israel, saying, I have killed thy prophets, down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of Yahweh unto him? I have reserved unto myself 7,000 men, the need to the image of Baal. Even so then, at this present time, there is also a remnant according to the election of grace. And if by grace it is no more of works, otherwise grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then it is of no more grace, otherwise work is no more work. What then? Not obtain that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. So let's look at this. First of all, he makes it plain. He has not forgotten his original people. Well, we can see that, right? He says, he has not forgotten the original people. Points out to the Gentile converts that he's writing to, the converts to the nation that he's writing to. I'm an original Israelite, he's saying. I'm of the seed of Abraham, and he ain't forgot me. So I know he ain't forgot his remnant people, his people. He ain't forgot them. But there's an election according to grace. What does that mean? That means that no matter what they did, he's going to have a small group of them that he's going to set aside for himself. Regardless, he's going to have some that are his. Okay? They're not going to be completely wiped out. So it's not what they do or didn't do. He has already said, I'm going to have a remnant according to the election of grace. I'm going to have some that are mine that I'm going to set aside. Stumbled, he said they were blinded. He had chosen a remnant, of which the apostle Shaul or Paul was one of that remnant, blinded. Because why? Because of their rejection of Messiah. Notice what it says in Romans chapter 11. Let's read from verse 7, 15. Romans chapter 7 from 7, Romans chapter 11, I'm sorry. Romans chapter 11 from verse 7 to verse 15. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, Yahweh hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. Let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back always. Have they stumbled that they should fall? Yah forbid. But rather, through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? For I speak unto you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? So you can see, if their rejection of Messiah caused the Gentiles to receive the truth, what would happen to the earth if the remnant became conscious of who they are, and they came back to the Most High and they received Messiah? What would happen to the earth? Well, the Bible says the earth, whoever receives them would get a blessing. But what type of blessing? Let me tell you what it's not. If you are one of those that recognize who the Israelite people are, his ancient people, and you receive them, the blessing you will receive is not monetary. You're not going to get rich in this world's goods because you receive the true nation of Israel. As a matter of fact, that is what causes many people to embrace Judaism. I've seen people do it. Sammy Davis Jr. was a black entertainer in the 1950s and 60s. And he became a convert to Judaism. Why? Because they had the money. Because they had the money and they had the influence in Hollywood. That's why. It was the Ashkenazis that founded Hollywood. They were the ones that founded Hollywood. They were the ones that created the silver screen. Did you know that? Goldwyn was one of the guys, another Ashkenazi, I forgot his name, but one of them was Goldwyn, and there was another one, and they created the whole thing that we know today as Hollywood. Power and the money based on that creation. They were leading, and still are leading, producers and writers and leading in Satan's kingdom. And so people embrace it because they want that type of influence on their side. They want the influence of those type of people with them, that religion, not because they believe in the God of that religion necessarily, but they see the results and they're looking for those results in their life. People are controlled. Yes, they're controlled by Rome. As the Bible shows us, Rome is the overriding theme that the devil has created. That Catholic religion is the founder of Christianity, the founder of what we know today. And they are controlling everything, including the Ashkenazi. They control everything. They control Hollywood. They control media. They control print media. They control internet. They control all of it. All of them are under Rome. But the front people and the money people are the Ashkenazis. Okay? And so people embrace that religion because they want that blessing, that earthly blessing. But the Bible is plain. When we have seen it, we have read it, we have talked about it. You cannot serve the Most High Yah and money at the same time. You cannot serve him. You cannot be a friend to the earth, to all the things that the devil makes nice in this world. Most High Yah and his righteousness. It's impossible. You can't serve both of them. So the people of the Most High, his true people, will not be wealthy in this world's goods. You will not find them on the Forbes 400 of the richest people in the world. You will not. Okay? You're not. And as we have studied, it's not that we want that we're looking to be dirt poor. That's not true. The Bible says, give me, we read it, right? Give me neither riches nor poverty. Give me what's convenient for me. Give me what I need. I don't need to be rich above everybody, and I definitely don't want to be poor. But let's give me what I need, and I'll be fine. Remember that from Proverbs? We studied that. And so you can't serve money and serve the Most High. So his true people are not going to be rich in this world's goods. No, they're not. And if you are going to be blessed with them, you're not. Okay, so let's get that on the table right away. If you're going to embrace the true Israelite people that have been despised and rejected and scattered throughout the earth, you're not going to be looked upon nicely by this earth. But what will you receive? You're going to receive the blessing of the presence of the Most High in your life. You're going to receive his protection, his divine protection. You're going to receive the blessing of his spirit upon you. You're going to receive his righteousness. And when the plagues begin to fall, you're going to be protected. Just as in ancient Egypt, when the plagues fell, particularly the last plague, in the house of the Israelite that had that blood over the doorpost, guess what? No firstborn died in their house. There was no death that night in their house. They were protected by the blood of the Lamb. So, just so, those that receive his true people, that acknowledge who they are and receive them, are going to get the blessing of righteousness. See, don't listen to these people on the corners yelling and claiming to be Hebrew Israelites wearing these costumes. Every white person that passes by. Don't listen to that. Listen to the scriptures, brothers and sisters. I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Now is the time. Now is the time for forgiveness. Now is the time to be right with the Most High. Completely right. Sin taken away. Now is the time. Now is the time. Because as we know, the time is coming soon when the plagues will fall upon the earth. And when the plagues fall, it's too late. No more repentance at that time. No more blessing at that time. Now, that's not to say those ignoramuses on the corner won't wake up. And that's part of the thing I wanted to bring out today. Education is important, brothers and sisters. Education in a spiritual sense is extremely important. I'll give you an example. We talk about this often. Constantine became a Christian. He said, I'm going to be a Christian. And from him sprang others who created this religion called Christianity that the Bible never talks about. The Bible never mentions a new religion called Christianity. It never does. That came from man. The Bible never mentioned that Abraham had this separate religion called Judaism. He did not. There was no such thing as Judaism in the Bible. There's not there. These are religions created by man. But when Constantine became a Christian, later on in the 6th century, it was declared that the Bishop of Rome should be the corrector of all heretics. 508 AD. And in 538 AD, that was placed into action. So for the next more than 1,000 years, the Bibles were taken away from people. They did not have access to the Bible the way you and I do today. And now think about that. That's 1,000 years with no Bible. And the only religious instruction you get is from Catholic priests. The only religious instruction you can read are books that are written by Catholic priests. You can't read the Bible itself. You need to have a license to read the Bible. And then you can only read it if you can read it in Latin, Hebrew. Okay? That was 1,000 years of ignorance. And 1,000 years later, in the 16th century, who had been reading and were taught to read Greek and Hebrew and Latin, started finding discrepancies between what the church fathers were teaching them and claiming was the word of the Most High and what the actual word said. They were finding discrepancies. Now remember, this was after 1,000 years of darkness and ignorance. Okay? So of course, coming out of 1,000 years of darkness and ignorance, they would not understand all the truth we know today. Right? I mean, it makes sense because they've been in darkness that's a long time. Like if a generation is 40 years, right? It's 40 years. That means just about 3 generations or 2.5 generations make up every 100 years. Let's say 2.5 generations. That means if you have 1,000 years, you have 250 generations of people that have been steeped in darkness. So finally, they start to see these discrepancies, and over the next couple of 100 years, people start to, rebel against the Roman Catholic Church, and they call them Protestants, protesting Rome. And most of the rebellious ones are not looking to start their own religion. They're trying to fix the Roman Catholic Church. That wasn't going to happen. So what happened now, you have the Protestant Church, which is basically an offshoot of Rome. Now, that has gone on unto this day. have ignorance. So that the children, the true children of Abraham who were placed into slavery, who were beaten, they're ignorant. They are just bone ignorant. Why? Because they were taken from the land that they lived in. Their language was taken from them, right? And their language and their religion was taken from them. The land that, as the Bible said they would, that is not theirs, that spoke a foreign language, right? And they were taught that land's God. Okay? And that has been happening. I mean, in the United States of America, they counted 400 years, but it was in Jamaica and in Hispaniola, which is now divided between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. It was in Trinidad. It was in Brazil. You know, a long time, probably 1,000 years from here, back 1,000 years, I'm close to that. So you're talking about at least, let's say, conservatively, 500 years of bone ignorance. Right? So that's why you're going to have some ignorant ones preaching on corners with foolishness coming out of their mouth. You're going to have that because there are ignorant ones because they just, first of all, the English language is not their original language. And then on top of that, you have 400 years of willful, purposeful ignorance being placed on them between the ghettos being formed, the drugs being flooded into the neighborhoods, guns being flooded into the neighborhoods, you know, and then of course we're not even dealing with the unarmed black men being shot in the street, the institutionalized prison system that is designed to incarcerate as many black males as possible, and we're not even dealing with Planned Parenthood and the castration of the black male. We're not even dealing with all that, but just the ignorant part. Hundreds of years of ignorance. And that's not even, that's just on our, I mean, of course, and then of course you got other people, like you got European people that have been indoctrinated into this Christianity and indoctrinated into these ignorance also, right? I mean, it's just bone ignorance. So when you coming out of ignorance, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, right? When you're coming out of ignorance, you're going to make mistakes because it's like you just waking up. And it's not just you. I mean, you just waking up from generations of bone ignorance, man. So that as I discovered in the Bible for myself, I'm looking for Christianity and I don't find it. And I don't see any evidence that Messiah came and said, this Abraham is going to be placed in the garbage and we're going to create this new religion that's strictly for the Gentiles. I didn't see that. Okay? I didn't see that. And then I didn't see any Judaism. And then it came to me, wait a minute. That means Christianity and Judaism are man-made religions. Based on the Bible, but not exactly from the Bible. Then I began to question, and I recommend, just my recommendation, you could take it or leave it, but I recommend every person do the same thing. Question every religious teaching you've ever been taught. Question it and compare it to what the Bible actually says. Compare it to what it actually says in there, okay? And study the scriptures for yourself. Question everything. And boy, were my eyes open. Boy, were my eyes open. And I made mistakes, and I still do. You know, you go from here to there, and you learn, and you go here, and you come here, and you continually learning. So I wouldn't diss the brothers on the streets completely. The brothers in these so-called camps and these following these ignoramuses. I wouldn't completely diss them because we're all coming out of stark bone ignorance and darkness. Okay? But I will tell you this. People that embrace the remnant and say, okay, brothers, I'm gonna pray for you. I know you ignorant, because I see it. It frustrates me, and I'm black. It frustrates me to see some of the things these brothers say. It's frustrating. For me to listen to it is frustrating. Because I'm like, will somebody please read the scripture? Will you stop just reiterating what some ignoramus taught you? Will you please just read the scriptures for yourself? Please? But I could just pray. I pray and I study and I pray and I study and I study and I pray and I seek the Most High's righteous spirit to be on me, that I can learn the truth for myself. I can walk humbly with my Creator. And if I can be an influence on anybody through the teaching that he puts in my mouth, praise the Most High Yah. Okay? Praise the Most High Yah. But he has not forgotten who his people are. He has not, the Most High has not forgotten his promises to Abraham. And yes, Gentiles are going to receive the truth and they're going to get the blessing. There's no question. The Bible says that. But let not the Gentiles fool themselves into thinking they are the Hebrews without the original Hebrews. Let them not fool themselves into thinking they are the Hebrews without the original Hebrews. You following what I'm saying right now? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Let's go back for a moment. We've read this many times, but let's look at it from a little different angle. Let's go back to Romans 11. And we stopped reading at verse 15. So let's continue from verse 16 and read down to verse 25. Watch carefully now from verse 16 to verse 25. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And watch now. And if some of the branches be broken off, that is the unbelieving Hebrew, and thou, you Gentiles, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, among who? Among the Hebrews, the Abraham, Isaacs, and Jacobs of the world. And with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Boast not against the branches. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if Yahweh spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Yahweh. On them which fell, severity. Goodness, if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise, thou also shalt be cut off. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for Yahweh is able to graft them in again. For if thou wert cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted in contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. So the Most High allowed all of this to happen so that all the world can receive the gospel, and then he's going to bring back his original people. He's going to bring them back, and he's going to gather them, and whoever receives them is going to get the blessing they get, and whoever curses them is going to get the curse that comes on their enemies. Notice now, Zechariah, I'm going to read Zechariah for a little bit. I'm going to read Zechariah from Zechariah chapter 1, from verse 18 down to the end of the chapter, which is 21, from 18 to 21, 4 verses. Then I'm going to read chapter 2. But let's start off Zechariah chapter 1, from verse 18 down to verse 21. Notice what it says. Then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And Yahweh showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast them out, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah, to scatter it. So 4 horns. He said, these are the powers which scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. What 4 powers did it? What 4 powers did it? We know the 4 powers. What 4 powers scattered the Israelites? Well, Babylon, Media Persia, Greece, and Rome. Isn't that correct? Those are the four powers: Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome. Those are the four powers that scattered the holy people all over the earth. Then he said there's another horn. This is the horn to cast out. This is going to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn against Judah. So the powers of Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome that were used to spank the Israelites and scatter them all over the earth and place them in slavery, that comes on them to spank them. Now, in the Bible, when the Bible talks about horns, it's talking about power. Power. Okay, it's talking about power. Whenever the Bible speaks of a horn, it's talking about power. That's right. It represents power and authority. That's what a horn represents: power and authority. So whenever it's talking about horns, it's talking about power. Now, the thing is, we know that the last power on earth of these four is Rome. And that Rome has changed its shape from a strictly military and political power to a religious power that has military and political influence. Let me say that again. Rome has switched the shape from that which is military and political in power, like a common government, to a government that is religious in power with military and political influence all over the earth. That's what it's done. Okay, that is the Vatican. That's correct. And so through that, you got Christianity, and through Christianity, and you also got Judaism, and you also got Islam. They control all of that. Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, all controlled by Rome. And they use these three major religions to control the minds of all the people. They put the Israelites under the control of these three, mainly Christianity, and they control them with these doctrines of this religion. Which religion the Bible never speaks about in terms of a religion unto itself. Never speaks about it. It talks about following the covenant of Yah. It talks about the messenger of the covenant coming to confirm the covenant. It talks about Most High's Son coming to save his people Israel, to bring repentance to Israel. And we just read that through Israel stumbling over Messiah, the Gentiles receive the gospel. But the Gentiles ain't receive it to become an Israel unto themselves, but to become part and parcel of the original nation. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? To become part and parcel of the original olive tree. Not to become their own olive tree, but to become part and parcel of the original olive tree. So now those Gentiles that become part of the original olive tree are not even considered Gentiles anymore. They're not. Even we read it in Ephesians, we read it in Galatians, and we read it in Philippians. They are now considered part of the nation. The same we read in Isaiah 56. In Isaiah 56, it spells out plainly. In fact, let's look at it. We're going to come right back to Zechariah, so don't lose your place there. We're going to come back to Zechariah. But in Isaiah chapter 56, it spells out plainly the Most High's plans for those Gentiles that embrace his truth and his people. Notice what it says. Isaiah 56. Isaiah 56. I'm going to start in Isaiah 56 from verse 6 and verse 7 and verse 8. Isaiah 56, verse 6, 7, and 8. We're talking about the stranger. Now, the eunuchs are people that, no, wait, let me know what, I'm sorry, Sister Josie. Wait a minute, Sister Josie, I'm sorry. Let's start at verse 1, because the eunuchs are those, let me explain, because in this Isaiah 56, it talks about two groups of people. It talks about eunuchs and it talks about strangers. Now, who are the eunuchs? Let me explain about why it mentions eunuchs. Whenever males were taken captive into another nation, they were turned into eunuchs so that they would not reproduce. They would not reproduce. They would just die. And that would be the end of them. They would just be useful while they lived, and then they would die, and that would be the end of them. Eunuchs. So you had Israelites that were taken captive, and they still, in the slave trade, on one side, the Atlantic slave trade, they let them reproduce because they had more labor. They had complete control over, the European had complete control. The sons of Japhet, the Caucasian and Anglo-Saxon, had complete control over the cursed Israelites, and they were cursed. And so they let them reproduce so that they can have more of them to have control over, right? But on the other side, on the Arab side, they castrated them, they made them eunuchs, and they just died on the Arab side. So they had an Arab slave trade as well. The ones that went east became eunuchs and died. The ones that went west were raped and pillaged, and they let them reproduce so they could create more of them to rape and pillage and control. Okay, so when he talks about blessing on eunuchs, this is what he's talking about. Now, the strangers are those that are not of the seed of Abraham, not of his original children, but who come to the nation of Israel to become part of the nation. Okay, so let's look at the promise of Isaiah 56 to both the eunuch who had been cut off and repented and the stranger. Take a look, Isaiah chapter 56, beginning at verse 1. And I'm going to read down to verse 8. Okay, thus saith Yahweh, and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. The man that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Shabbat from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh hath utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. Yahweh unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths and choose the thing that please me and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name, sons and of daughters, and I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also, the sons of the stranger that have joined themselves to Yahweh, to serve him, to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants. Everyone that keeps Shabbat from polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant, will I bring into my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar. For mine house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. The Most High Yahweh, which gathereth the outcasts of Israel, saith, yet I will gather others to him, gathered unto him. So he has a promise to those that receive his people. But you need to understand, in these last days, his people are despised. His people are rejected. His people are looked down upon. They are worse than second-class citizens. It comes to the point where, we see, if you got one of his people, right, you like this brother, I heard he made reference to O.J. Simpson and another man that was a football player like O.J. Simpson named Ray Lewis. These two people. Now, in the black community, I will just let you all know who are not in the know. I will let you know both of these Negroes are sellouts to black people. Both of them are sellouts. Like, we don't like either one of these brothers. They both sellouts to us. Okay, I just want to let you know. But just to show you how they are treated based on what they did and what happened. O.J. Simpson was a football player. Ray Lewis was a football player. Both of them considered stars. O.J. Simpson was tried for murder. Ray Lewis was on trial for murder. Okay? O.J. Simpson got acquitted of the murder of 2 white people. He was found innocent of the murder of 2 white people. Okay? Ray Lewis had the charges dropped. Okay? Now it starts to get a little different. O.J. Simpson later gets arrested for trying to get back property that actually belonged to him. And he did 9 years in prison for that. Well, he really didn't do the 9 years in prison for that. He actually did the 9 years in prison because he was acquitted for killing 2 white people. That was really why he went to jail. Okay? Now, Ray Lewis got his charges dropped. He went back to playing football, and he speaks against black people, and guess what? They created a statue in Baltimore where he played. They created a statue of him. And he is applauded by the white community. They love him. They love him. And they hate OJ. See, that just goes to show you just a little bit of story, just a little bit of a true story to show you how an object lesson of how this game works. So if you kiss the behind of the oppressor and you take his religion and you turn on your own people, you are applauded. You are blessed in this life, in this society. If you hurt them and you get away with it, or if you stand up for your own people, as Colin Kaepernick did, guess what? You are ostracized, outcast, and considered evil. You understand? So that is what it looks like. So I want to tell you, if you decide to follow the truth of the true Hebrews, and you embrace these people as the Hebrews that come from Israel and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're not going to be looked upon too kindly. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be looked upon too kindly, especially if you're not of that ilk. But even if you are, they're not going to like you too much. Okay? Especially if you speak too loudly about it. Now, if you embrace Christianity and you even tattoo a cross on your shoulder somewhere, and you come into one of these denominations and you just embrace white Jesus with all your heart, and you love white Jesus, and you put a picture of white Jesus in your house, guess what? They'll let you pass. You'll be all right. And I intended the pun. They'll let you pass. Okay? Because that's how it goes. You can prosper in this life. You can prosper. But if you decide to embrace them despised ones, true Hebrew, the ones that fill up the jails, you're going to have a problem. You're not going to get blessed in this world's good. You're going to have an opposition from your own family, much less from other people. You're going to have opposition, no question about it. But you will receive that promise that we just read in Isaiah 56. You will receive that. He will make you a name. He will make you a blessing. You will get all the blessings. You'll be accepted by the Most High. You'll have the blessing of perfect righteousness. He will have his name in your forehead, and you will be one of his chosen people. You will be one of his. You'll be called the circumcision. You'll be one of his. Okay? You'll be one of his. If you embrace his covenant and his people, you'll be one of his. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, now let's look back to Zechariah. We're gonna come back to Zechariah. Watch this now. Zechariah chapter 2. Zechariah chapter 2. It's only 13 verses. So I'm gonna read the whole thing, but I'm gonna read it in part. Zechariah chapter 2. Let's start at verse 1 and go down to verse 6 to start off. Okay, from verse 1 to verse 6. Notice what it says. I lifted up mine eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Watch out when you see the man measuring stuff, right? You know, watch out when you see the man measuring stuff. When they break out the measuring line, they're measuring you against perfect righteousness, against the covenant. They're measuring you. See how you measure up. Then said I, whither goest thou? And he said, to measure Jerusalem, to see what the breadth is, what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith Yahweh, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahweh, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, saith Yahweh. So he's saying, I'm gonna bless Jerusalem. In this case, we know it's because you see these same words, right, in the book of Revelation, right? You see these same words in Revelation, right? When he measures it, and you see that, right? He measures it. That's Revelation 11, right? That's in there. It's no coincidence. And he said, and he measured the city in Revelation chapter 21. He measured the city, and he measured it 144 cubits. He measured it, right? Ezekiel also, they measured the city with the reed, right? So several prophets. So he's promising a restoration of Israel to his chosen people. He's promising, and he says to his people, get away from them people from the north, man. Wait a minute. He said, get away from them people from the north, man. Them sons of Yafet. Watch out. Get away from them. Why? Because something getting ready to come down. Something getting ready to come down, and it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be nice. Let's continue. Let's read from verse 6 down to verse 8. Zechariah chapter 2 from verse 6 Down to verse 8. Now, some of y'all ain't never read this. That's a shame, ain't it? You need to read Zechariah. Zechariah is powerful. Read the whole Bible, brothers. Just read it through now. I'm telling you for your own, read the whole thing. Notice what it says. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahweh. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, saith Yahweh. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth in this with the slaughter of Babylon. Power of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So the people that have mishandled and exploited and have destroyed his chosen, the whole time, the apple of his eye. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That puts a different spin on it. You understand? So just because a certain group of people got all kind of Federal Reserve notes, they got stacks and billions of Federal Reserve notes and trillions of them and can print more if they want to. They got all the gold in Fort Knox, literally, right? Just because they can go in any nation and take whatever assets out of it they want, don't think they blessed, because something is coming. Something is coming. He said, he that spoiled you touched the apple of his eye. There's a problem. And he said, deliver yourself from them. And you've heard that message before. It's called this: come out of her, my people. Isn't that, you heard that message before? He said, deliver thyself that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon. Come out of her, my people. That's what he's saying. See? So where you see the majority going in one direction, you know what you need to do, right? When you see the majority going in one direction, you know what you need to do just on instinct. You need to do what? You need to go the opposite direction. Everybody's trying to hit Mega Lotto. Everybody wants to get them hundreds of millions of dollars. Oh, what they would do with all that money if they could win it, right? Right? But we don't need that. We're not looking. This is going to sound crazy to the Gentile, but to you who are of the nation, what I'm about to say makes sense. We don't care. We don't care about stacks of Federal Reserve notes. We don't care to win mega millions. We don't care to get mansions in this earth. We don't care about that stuff. We're looking for righteousness, holiness. We're looking for set apartness. We're looking for the Spirit to rest on us and put his seal in our foreheads, that we can be obedient to him and bring him honor and glory and praise. That's right. We're not looking for that. Notice again. Let's read it one more time now. From verse 7 down to verse 13, which is the whole chapter, the rest of the chapter. Zechariah chapter 2, let's start again at verse 7. I want to make sure everybody gets this, and let's read down to verse 13. Notice what it says. Deliver thyself, O Zion, daughter of Babylon. I want to read it clearly as I can. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory he had sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. Toucheth you, touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith Yahweh. And many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people. And I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me unto thee. And Yahweh shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, all flesh, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. Now I want to ask you a question. When it says he has sent me to them to tell you X, Y, and Z, he says that in several places. He says, he has sent me, behold, he has sent me unto the nations. Who is the me he's talking about? Now, in this case, he's talking about Zechariah. But in the last days, when he said, he has sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. Yep. And before Yahushua, who is it he sends before Yahushua to warn the people of what is about to come? Who does he send right before Yahushua comes to warn the people? Who does Yahushua send out there to warn the people? Who does he send? Who does he send? Talk to me now. Who does he? No, no. Yes, yes, but give me some more. Give me some more. Who does he send? Nope. Who does he send? Come on, come on, come on. He's sending, they're right here. They're being talked about right here. It is Yahushua, but he sends somebody. That's right. He sends the 144,000. Notice notice what they say. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest in the midst of Babylon. Didn't he say, deliver thyself? What does that sound like? Come out of her, my people. Who does he send with that message? The 144,000. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servant. This, he said, what? Her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, brothers and sisters. You see, you have to see the 144,000 are written in all the prophets. You just have to look for them. 1,000 are written in all the prophets. Whenever he's sending people in the last days, that's right. Whenever he's sending people in the last days to warn people, he's sending 144,000. And to warn the people, come out of her, my people. Get away from her, my people. I'm about to let it out on them, my people. Get out of there. Don't want to be partakers of their sins. You don't want to receive what they plague, because it's coming. That's right. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them. They shall be a spoil to their servants, and ye shall know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me. I will dwell in the midst of thee. Many nations shall be joined in that day. People too, see? They shall know I am Yahweh. You are following me? See, so here is another prophecy of the 144,000. Wait a minute. Let me give you another word of that here. Zechariah speaks a lot of the 144,000. I just need you to know that. Zechariah speaks a lot of the 144,000. Look, now that you see, okay, when you see, read through Zechariah, you will see them. Here's another place. Watch this. Zechariah chapter 8, from verse 20 to verse 23. This is the remnant that received the message of the 144,000. Chapter 8, verse 20 down to verse 23. Notice what it says. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, it shall come to pass, come people and inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go speedily to pray before Yahweh and to seek Yahweh of hosts. I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Yahudim, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that Yahweh is with you. You see what I'm saying? So the message is going to go forth. Some people are going to receive it, and they're going to say, we're going to go with y'all. We're going with y'all. We're looking for this truth. We're coming with you. We're looking for this truth. We've been looking for the truth. We've been looking to get this monkey off our back, this guilt that's messing with us. We've been looking to get off our back. And praise the Most High. Through Yahweh, the guilt is coming off. We're going with you. Praise the Most High. But we heard Yahweh is with you. Okay? Okay? Praise the Most High, yeah. That's right. So, yeah, read Zechariah prophecy when you get a chance. It's powerful. At the end, you know, it talks about the last days, and it talks about, it really talks about everything that happened from the destruction of Jerusalem to the slavery to the redemption. Everything is in Zechariah, especially Zechariah 14. It brings up all of that, and us keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, us keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. All of that is in there. Praise the Most High, Yah. And him choosing his people out of all the peoples that get cut off, him choosing his people, his remnant people. Everything's in there. See, you read the whole book. because you're going, and you got to reread, because there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there. I'm telling you, I've read Zechariah many, many, many times, and there's so much more in here. Much more in. Okay. Praise the Most High. Yeah. Okay. Praise the Most High. Yeah. I think you guys got that message. Let's have a word of prayer. A word of prayer.